Morning.
Jim has been dodging us, so I got to mess with him a little bit. See if he watches the show when he's not on.
Oh, you know what?
I think it'll be fun. We coordinated this out so well this week, Ray.
What's that?
We had the two people on the show that have the best glasses and the best beard.
Yep. All right.
That's pretty perfect, right?
We're good to go. So, yeah, let's chat. What's up? How's it going?
What is that back there? Is that like a really high def camo? What do you have back there? What's your key rested on?
Oh, that's a little teleprompter unit that I have with a camera and lens, and it's pretty neat. Normally, in the future, you'll see I'll be talking to that when we do these. I'll just look through monitor and it'll have the stream and everything on there so we can see everything.
So you'll have like a teleprompter so you know what to say?
No, just so I can look at you through a nicer camera.
Oh,
that's
good.
Yep.
It's easier to see our pretty faces when you have a nice camera, right?
I put a lot of work into the beard, so I got to make sure it looks good,
No, I get that, yeah. I have too.
I know. Welcome everybody. Right? How's it going?
This is what we do. This is like the intro to all of our shows. If I were to listen to this podcast, I would probably only listen to the first like minute and a half, and then after that it just gets boring.
I understand.
I don't know. It's what I do. So why is this game so high? There. Oh, that's too low. Dang it. Now I can't see Jim's sweet message. So how's your traveling going? You just got back to Florida. What was it last night?
Yesterday. Early afternoon. I've had a really busy couple weeks. I was in South Carolina 2 weeks ago for 3 or 4 days on a production. And I was in New York and DC last week in the first part of the week, shooting some more stuff, video production stuff. And then this weekend I was in Boston in, I guess, Walden, Mass at Amazing Billiards for the ranking event there. So yeah, it's been kind of chaotic, but fun few weeks.
Hey, and you got yourself a few ranking points, yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm up to about 1,800 for the year between what I made yesterday, this weekend, and at Derby. So right in the mix, about a couple grand shy of what I guess 5th place now. So it was a good event. I had some good wins too. So it was I think I made it to 5th round on the winner's side before I took a loss. So yeah, played pretty well. And let's see, I finished 7th, 8th. I had a 9-8 win over Nick DeLeon, 2nd round, I think, on the winner side, or 3rd round winner side. So 1st round I had a bye. 2nd round I beat a local player 9-1. Then I played Nick, and it was kind of hard to tell, when you could eat, when you could do these kind of things because they're, moving through the bracket pretty quick. And I went and got like a big roast beef sandwich or something across the street, this nice little deli called Fresco's, I think. And so I came in and they called my match like right after. And so I was in sandwich stroke at the beginning of the set. So I started off kind of slow, and Nick got some opportunities going and played good to get up 6-1. And then from there, I kind of like started feeling better and got settled in, and I won 8-2 from there, and I kind of felt like I was playing really well too. So I tried not to really sweat it, just knew if I got an opportunity, I can try and make something happen. And my break was working really well. This tournament, breaking really well. And I got the break going and got all the way back to 8-7 down. Made it 8-8. I think Nick had missed a safety, and I came with a shot and ran out. And then I broke double hill, and the balls opened. I mean, really beautiful for me, double hill. I had to make one kind of like, touch shot with kind of max spin on a 2-ball, but play good speed to the middle of the table, and the rest of the balls are sitting. And ran out and won 9-8. So that felt good to kind of come from behind. And then the following morning, I had to play Shane Wolford 1st round on the winner side, another one of these guys, there was like a bunch of guys there that are in the kind of outside of the Mosconi Cup stuff looking in. Shane obviously travels a lot to these events and is playing great. And I knew I had to play well, and I got the break going pretty good. And he won the lag, broke and scratched, and I ran a 5 from there. So I ran out,
Decent start.
broke, made the 9 on the break, and then broke and ran 3 to go up 5-0. I think I played a safety. He kicked, gave me a shot. I ran out to get up 7-0. And then we exchanged racks. I just, I kind of just had it going, and ran out every time. It's like, it's fun when you're in that zone, but it's not like super like dynamic pool. You just have control and you keep getting the opportunities and you run the balls, you do your work,
Sure.
And he took kind of a little bit of a tough scratch the last game where he overcut slightly a bank backwards in the side, hit the point. And the first thing I thought when I saw him lining up is that the speed to go up table on the line he was on was that the scratch was kind of big, especially at the speed to kind of like die on the bottom cushion, because you don't get the spin on the third rail that you think you're going to get. In order to get that spin, you have to play it kind of 5 rails so that you still have English on the third cushion to stretch you long. And most pool players tend to play that kind of at speed to get to the cushion. And as soon as he hit it, I was like, oh, the scratch is going to be big here. And he ended up scratching in that corner. Basically what would be the 4th rail was the corner pocket. And he just conceded the last few balls. So I won that match 9-2. And to his credit, he came all the way back on the 1-loss side and, won a bunch of matches and stuff and got, I think, ended up 5th, 6th. So, he showed a lot of resilience there, which is good. Then I think on the winner side, I played Jonas. And Jonas kind of did what I did to Shane to me. He had one of those sets where he had the break kind of really working and I didn't get many opportunities. I had one early shot that I had like an in-between stroke and I missed the ball and kind of let him out. And he got one more opportunity after that and ran like 2 threes on me. So he played well. And then I came back and I had to play Delgado, the other Spanish guy. And I was like, I'm not losing to both Spanish players. You know what I mean? Like we're not doing that from Spain. So Jose Alberto Delgado, I played him and I started off strong against him. I was up 3-0. He came back and went up 4-3. I tied the match at 4. He got up to 5-4. Then it was 5-5. And then I won the games from there. I won 4 in a row to close him out 9-5. So that was a big win because, he's probably the, probably 3rd or 4th, best player in Spain. And obviously, Francisco and David are kind of at the top and internationally recognized. Yep. So it's good to kind of get wins against guys of that caliber.
Jose Alberto Delgado is a great player. He gets overshadowed a lot by David and Francisco, but I'm telling you what, he's a great player.
Great player, nice guy too. I like to see how people respond whenever they go through a loss, whatever it is. And it gives me an idea of how they are with their character, and he was a perfect gentleman the whole time. So that was nice to see. And then I think we moved to the final 8 and unfortunately we got put on the RASIN and the shot clock, the final 8. And that RASIN was just very, very much like a step and a half faster than every tournament, than every other tournament table there, because everything else was on a Brunswick. And the cloth was a lot slicker and faster. So it was just a different set of conditions. And, my game relies a lot on speed control, especially for multi-rail safety stuff. So I lost a match to Lucas. He got up 3-0, then it went 3-3. Then I brought it back to 4-4, and then he got real productive on his break. So he started getting a lot of opportunities and played good, played a good set to close it out. And he had another strong showing too. I think the best part about the event was that there was, in the final 8, there was 5 Americans and 3 Europeans.
1, 2, 3,
Well, I guess
4,
Sullivan Clark is from
5, 6.
Australia.
Yeah, Australia. Yep. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
seeing 5.
yeah,
5 out of the top 8.
yeah, 5 out of the top 8 were all Americans. Billy beat Jonas in the hot seat match, and
And
then
actually,
Sky and
8 out of the top 12 too.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of American representation there, which was nice to see, and a lot of guys that played strong. Like played
We'll
good.
bring
Hey,
we'll
Rob.
bring Rob
Oh,
in.
there I am.
Even though
I
Rob
can't hear
doesn't.
you guys.
This is see, Rob. This is why you gotta actually partake in the chat, so we know you're going to be here, and then we get all this stuff worked out because we know you're actually going to be in there. Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
That's on your end, buddy. All right, well, we're gonna let him figure that out because we're gonna. So that is the big knock that I saw in the tournament. Is that there were a bunch of Brunswicks, and then there was the one the Rassen table, and the Brunswicks were. Am I right in saying they were like normally Brunswicks are like 4 3/4, or the pockets generally are pretty big, and then the Rassen I'm assuming is 4 1/4.
No, the Rassen was tighter. The Rassen was 4 1/8. The
4 1/8.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Hey, you're back, Rob. You there?
Rob, can you hear us?
That's a no. So
Okay.
So the Brunswicks, there was a couple Brunswicks that were 4 1/4, I believe, and then a few others are 4 1/2. And with new cloth, they feel like they play a little bigger. Like the Rassen was fine as far as pocket size goes. It's just the speed of that table was definitely a notch and a bit above the other tables, and you're kind of spending the majority of your time playing on those. And so if you can adapt quickly, then that's an advantage. But it would have been nice just to play on like all the same tables, which would have been great. But it's a nice table. I mean, it wasn't like gaffy, but that's just a thing,
Yep.
Yeah.
It is just a little bit goofy, but I mean, at the end of the day, you outfit an entire pool room with Rassen tables, and you're looking at a pretty hefty price tag. So
yeah, I mean, it's the nature of the beast. Some tournament rooms, do have all the same table, and it's kind of like. But I mean, the tournament was ran really well. There was never really any major issues as far as like on the management side. The referees were all very cordial and respectful of the players. They answered questions. They were of great service. They gave good racks. They were using the new Matchroom template rack that came out, and it was fine. There was no weird shenanigans with it. So it was nice to get some time on it. And, you saw more packages, I think, this break, now that the players have had a little bit of a time to get used to this cup break format. I put together 4s and 3s and 5s throughout the event. A bunch of guys ran a bunch of 3s and 4s. I think Skylar may have run a 5 at some point too. So there was a lot of running out going on as well, even though it was break from the box with the template. Guys are kind of figuring out what works for them, and a lot of quality matches. There was Jesse Engel versus Max Eberly, Josh Roberts versus Jonas. Lots of great play. Quality 9-ball, and Bo.
Well, the field was definitely stacked.
Yeah, Bo TF Powers did a good job in organizing it, and I think they did a digital pool outfit for the whole place. So most of the matches for the entire tournament were streamed and recorded and available online, which is great. So I know there was a paywall through the digital pool stuff, but there was one stream table that was free. So that was cool. And they also had the Carom event going on simultaneously on the other side of the pool section there, with some nice 3 cushion tables that played great too. And a lot of the pool players at night were kind of going over there and playing some 3 cushion and kind of intermingling with the other guys. I know Rob loves that kind of multiple discipline approach to stuff. So that was
love it even more if you could actually hear us.
Yeah. I messaged him and told him that I ran a 7 playing Carom. I was playing with a buddy of mine, Josh Teal, and then Sky and Billy and Wolford were playing on the next table. Oscar got into a little 3 cushion match as well with one of the local guys, Suad. So there's a lot going on. It's a fun little 2-day weekend for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's an interesting thought process. I mean, what is your opinion on? I guess we'll talk about Mike Check's question there.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on people playing till 4 a.m.?
I think it's not ideal. I understand the pro side of it is that it's less expensive for you to have to spend another day of travel, to get a third day in and finish at a reasonable hour. So there's a cost benefit there as far as that goes. I know for me, you treat it like a weekend regional tournament, and then you get done late into Monday morning and you head to work Monday morning bleary-eyed, and it doesn't feel good, and you're jacked up on your sleep schedule for a few days. So but you take a vacation day, an extra day of vacation to make the event, and then you have to spend an extra night at the hotel. It is what it is. For now, I think for these smaller kind of regional ranking events, it's fine. I'd probably like to see cap fields maybe, so you're not going into 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m. type stuff, which can happen. But the tournament ran pretty smooth, and they had enough tables to keep up with the scheduled play. And
am I correct in saying it didn't have an in-person Calcutta, right?
They had an online auction. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So that's not going to be slowing stuff down.
Yeah, exactly. That I mean, if you have the in-person Calcutta, forget it. You need to do it the night before to have a shot. Staying on schedule, because that
I'm definitely never a fan of that. Especially these bigger events like the Calcutta. Yeah. I understand the point of the Calcuttas, especially let's say 5, 6, 7 years ago when there wasn't a ton of money in these events. So you're trying to add money into them any way that you can to try to give people a chance, at making a living in pool. But I just, at this point in time, I just don't like, I don't like the idea of them. Just get them out of the game.
Yeah.
At least, or do them online, or do them, I mean, obviously that's super illegal, but as long as you don't get caught, I guess, whatever.
I like the online idea. I mean, just from a technical perspective, you get more people, you get more reach, you get people, investing money in these players or whatever. And so from that side, it makes sense. It's elegant, it's fast. They cut it off by a certain amount of time so they can do the payouts ahead of time, which is also kind of like always like a, sometimes you see these regional tour directors, they'll do a Calcutta and then they take a percentage fee, and then they, how much of that, who knows, depends on the person and their integrity, really. So it's kind of cool that it's transparent, how much is raised, how much is going to get paid out and all that stuff. Like,
that is just not a thing in Wisconsin. I'd never realized that was a thing.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a South thing. It's a big thing down here in the South for sure. In Florida, it's a big deal. New Orleans, it's like huge. In Georgia, it's been huge.
What's a standard percentage that they take out?
It just depends. Some people do full payout. Some people do 10%.
10%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is, especially when you get into the, lots of money being.
I remember in Wisconsin, our state pool tournament, we used to run a Calcutta on the side. Like basically it was organized by like one person. Yeah. And this one person basically, he's a really great player in Wisconsin, one of the best players Wisconsin has. And he would run it for like 3 different divisions.
Yeah.
And from his 3 different divisions, Rob, I'm not answering the phone call. We're on live television. We're on live fucking podcast, dude. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to, okay. Can you hear? All right. You can hear us?
Yes, now I can.
Oh, great.
Okay. Well, this is why we got to get this stuff taken care of before the podcast. So you got to let me know if you're going to be on it or not, right?
I let you know yesterday that I was, Nate, but that's okay. Skip that. I have a really good question for Raymond.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You guys have been talking about this.
All right. Well, let me finish on my story. And I remember like they're doing the podcast and they're doing the Calcutta, and they said right up front that they're going to be taking out 2% of the Calcutta as like a way of, because basically this tournament finishes on a Sunday, and they're going to have to stay there until every single one of these tournaments is done so that they can pay out the Calcutta to all the players. And our state got like just furious. Like, who the heck are you taking out 2% of this Calcutta? Like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. and it's 2%, and they are literally running this out of nowhere just so that we would have a Calcutta have some extra money in there. And in the grand scheme of things, I guess 2% is really not that big of a deal when you have 10% coming out. Like, everybody listening from the comments, we got 40 people tuning in and watching. How much is taken out of your state, if anything's taken out? Just throw a number out there. What your state takes out?
And to Mike Check's point, it is really brutal, when you have to fade. You put a lot of work in to get to the business end of the tournament, and then from that point, it's an endurance race. The 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. gauntlet is rough, and you got to play. You're playing talented players, and you're getting, to get the difference between the money is significant, especially for the Americans, because there's less separation between the top Americans and the guys coming up to gain those ranking points to qualify for the team. So third, fourth, is nice. Gets you right in the mix. Winning gets you top 3 now. Billy won an event and now he's top 3 in points after this. I guess this is now the 3rd ranking event. There was a Turning Stone and then Derby, then now this. So,
well,
Rob.
we're doing significantly better as far as the U.S. side of things. I think if $1,800 with what you're at right now, I think you said you're about 1,800. That would have been leading going into like August last year.
Right. No, and there's more ranking events now, and that goes into there's $2,000 difference between me and 5th place. So that's like 4th, or if it's another one of these events, it's like a 5th, 6th finish, and I'm playing right there. So I'm going to be going to most of them and just kind of continue to work on my end and see what happens. I think a lot of those guys are going to be doing the same. So, Rob, you had a question?
I did have a question, Raymond. You made a comment on Facebook this last week now about your break cue that you had made, especially for the racks where the 9-ball is on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very curious about that as to, you said, finally I got one the way I want it for this particular type of break that's there.
Yeah.
I would like to, for you to go into more depth on exactly what about the cue stick you needed to have different for that particular type of break. And
again, so I've been working with Dominic Aragi. He built this cue for me here, this playing cue, which was getting a lot of attention from, I couldn't go without, getting like a referee to stop me, players to stop me, different people hit with the cue, and he's got a ton of work put in here, and it's really, this cue is awesome.
Yeah. Looks nice.
This was the first tournament I played with it. I have the break cue there as well. He built me a break cue. He wanted to go even heavier. It's at 20 ounce right now, but it's a 60-inch break cue, and it's the way it's balanced out. It doesn't feel like you're swinging a 20-ounce cue. But
how is it balanced different? How?
It's more a bit forward balanced. The shaft is about, I think, 5 ounce, 5 and change, which is a lot heavier than most people think build their shafts.
Okay.
But as a piece together, it feels ideal for these cup break formats. So that's not something that I designed intentionally myself. It's something that Dominic built for me to try out based on his kind of like approach. He wanted it to go even heavier, but I was like, I've broken with 19 ounce forever, so I don't want to like change things up too much. So he got me to 20 and change. And
but it feels like 19 ounce to you, though, because of the balance.
It's just balanced well, and it definitely feels heavier than my old cue, but it doesn't feel like it's a burden to move. And it so happens that for this break format and my stroke and my tempo and timing and delivery, it works great for this cup break. I went to New York last week Monday, and I played a practice session with my friend Dell at Society Billiards, and I was making sim. Yeah. So at home, I was practicing making 2 or 3 balls on the break every time, making the wing ball, making the one on the side, getting another ball going in as well. Sometimes 4 balls, sometimes 5 balls. I mean, it was really, they're pouring in, and I was like, wow. So I went to Society after a really long travel day. I woke up at 4 a.m. from Florida to get to New York and was shooting all day promo work, and then went to Society after dinner. And we practiced for a couple hours. We played 3 races of 7, and I was just reining them in from the break. I mean, I ran a 3-pack every set I played him in a race of 7.
Nice.
So that was very encouraging, and was really getting it dialed in. And then I went to Streetlights Billiards Academy later in the week in DC, in the Virginia area, and got some practice in there. And for the last hour that I was practicing, I was making 2-3 balls every break, at least every single break. And that was just kind of learning the cue and the balance and kind of tying that in with my stress. I've had the cue for a week, and I ran a 5 against Shane Wolford.
Does your cue ball just go to the side rail and come back middle of the table-ish kind of?
No, I'm playing cross table speed. I'm going at least 2 cushions. So I had to dial it down to not go to the 3rd cushion. But because normally I play 3 rail speed back and forth twice to hit the 3rd long cushion and then come out to the middle. But on I saw Oscar break at one point, and I saw him hit kind of like a little bit toned down version of that, where he was only going 2 rails across. And I felt like it was a little bit more controlled based on the cloth that we were breaking on. And so I kind of dialed that in, and it was an onslaught from there, really. So it just so happens that the cue and the way it's set up really fits well for that break format.
How much of a propellant emotionally do you feel it is when you are breaking better than your opponent? Obviously, if he makes 1 ball every other break or something, or 1 here, and you're putting in 2 or 3, that's got to be a boost to you.
I think it's less of a emotional thing. It's more of like a situational thing. I'm keeping control longer, so that kind of tends to settle you down, and you're dictating the pace of play, the terms of play, and that's very valuable in match play 9-ball now.
So your stability in controlling the game is better,
right? Because it's really about getting that early, control point in and dictating term, putting pressure on your opponent. So they have to respond to you as opposed to the other way around.
Okay.
And it's really valuable, especially when you're maybe less known than some of these other guys, and they don't really know the what your high gear or top flight version of your game looks like, and then you give it to them and they're like, well, who the hell is this guy? So they're thinking about this stuff. And it's like, Moritz even had said something, because he had played somebody while I was playing Shane, and he was drilling whoever he was playing. And he's like, every time I looked over, you were at the table. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, because he knows Shane, obviously Shane's traveled and going internationally and doing all this, great stuff at these tournaments. So he's like, I just kept looking over and you were shooting. And every single time you were shooting and making balls in the red. And Sky was playing a match over here, and he was like asking me for a break lesson after the match. He's like, I don't,
Oh, really?
He's like, teach me how to break. I'm like, you play great. What are you talking about? You just came from, London or wherever he was at, playing in Leicester. He was in Leicester playing in the Premier League pool stuff. But
you definitely play a lot better.
Okay, so you're getting noticed a little bit now.
Huh?
You're getting noticed a little bit.
Yeah, I think this trend was good for me, because I had, like I was telling Nate, I had that match where I came back against De Leon.
Right, you're down 6-1. You said.
Yeah, I was down 6-1 and I came back and won.
Wow,
so that's good just for like mental, stability, and like you're sending a message. And he's an American outsider as well. And then having that other match against Shane was nice. And then internationally beating a guy like Delgado, who's respected and is a top guy. It's just a little bit of like, hey, I'm here, I'm coming, and this is, you'll see more,
How would you rate I know you haven't talked too much about your jumping ability, but I see now and with all the great players, I mean, that's a big part of the game right now, especially with the cut breaks and having a little messier racks to start with and things, and having some more moves in the game. Where would you place your ability in jumping the balls?
I mean, if you're going to be a top 9-ball player now, you have to be able to be a competent jumper, and you have to be able to land on the ball from certain positions and take on certain jump shots. So, I mean, I'm going to make the majority of the balls I jump at.
Ooh, okay.
And I spend time, I'll have afternoons where I jump for a couple hours, or I'll set up certain types of jump shots where the interfering ball is closer to the object ball I'm trying to hit. Right. So now I have to it's a different kind of tempo and accuracy. And then when the object ball is closer, the interfering ball is closer to the cue ball, then it's a different kind of situation. So it's just, and then there's jump banking. I can jump bank, I can jump kick, I can cup safe.
Okay.
I'm not Federer, I'm not Atencio, and these guys who are just weaponized war machines with the jump cue. But if you leave me a jump shot, I'm gonna hit the ball.
Okay, you're more than adequate then.
Yeah. I think as far as like for what you'd expect, I think I blend the kicking side a lot more than some of those guys do.
Okay.
And I have a lot of experience on what that is and how to leverage it with control.
Well, you said you ran 7 on the billiard table up there at Madsen's place, so.
Right. Yeah. So, and I haven't played three in a little while, but it's one shy of my high run from before. I used to play all the time. So,
okay.
But I love carom and I love the game, and those tables were set up nice and playing good. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's adequate. It's kind of like, with all these guys, you got to freeze them. You got to freeze them to the ball. People complain about the jump cue, but I think the jump cue gives you an opportunity to learn how to play better safety.
Okay, there you go.
A lot of safeties that people used to get away with.
Don't let them jump.
They're like complaining because they're like, oh, it's I played a good, quote unquote, good safety, and he just jumped out of it, made the ball and ran out. I'm like, well, then guess what?
Play a great safety.
You didn't play a good safety. You played an average safety.
Good enough.
Yeah, it's not a good safety. It's a poor safety. If you're playing 3 cushion and you didn't touch the ball, it's not a point.
No, it's not.
Right? If you come with the backup and you don't get to the ball, it's not a point. So you don't get a point for that. So why should you get a point for playing a mediocre safety? So, by the standards that these guys are pushing the jump cue with.
Oh yeah, high standards.
It's a high standard. So you have to have a higher standard for everything else, including the safe. So, Efren would freeze you to the ball. A lot of guys don't have that carom information, so they don't know the ball speed. They know the rail speed because they've learned get distance. They've learned, get cover.
Spin and speed is a combination.
But if you're playing billiards, you got to get to the rail and then to the ball. And so that's like the separate. That's the part that everybody is weak on in the pool.
Okay.
And so when you think of it in carom terminology, it's actually poor. So.
Yep. Well, anything else from that tournament that you wanted to highlight? Of course, Billy Thorpe gets the win there. So
yeah, I thought he was a one pocket player. What the hell? What's up with that?
All right. So he beats Sky in the finals 13-7, wins all the way up through the tournament. Beat some great players in the last. Beat Jeremy Sosi 9-4, Moritz Neuhausen 9-6, Jonas Sota 11-9, and then Sky Woodward 13-7 in the final. So this is the first. I would say this might be the first 9-ball win or anything outside of one pocket or banks that I've ever seen him win, at least for a major event. I'm sure there's a few out there. Now that I say that, I think he may have won like a Music City a couple of years ago, which was back when it was a really good tournament. But
Billy
for the most part,
Billy had mentioned that he had gotten a new Mucci cue, and he was in Vegas and struggling, like not winning matches or not winning tournaments and stuff. And he's like, what the heck? And then he finally weighed it, and it was like 17 and change ounces. And so it's like a clear 2.25 ounce lighter than what he's used to. And so he added weight back into his cue, and he says now he loves it. Now it feels kind of like, so he looked comfortable. He played aggressive, and his style of 9-ball for sure, and got the match W. So it's good for him to kind of come back on the scene after a little bit of like a step away, stagnation. So now he's in, I think, 3rd in rankings now. And then Skylar lost to Jonas, I think, Final 4 winner side. So if I would have beaten Jonas, I would have had to play Skylar. And then Skylar just, went through on the 1-loss side and cleaned up to get, he beat Shane, he beat Lucas, and then he beat Moritz and Jonas to get to Billy. So, not bad. And everybody by that point in the tournament was playing well, So Skylar just did what Skylar does. He was the highest ranked player going into the tournament. I don't think there was another 800.
What kind of tables did you play on up there at Madsen's?
They had Gold Crown 5s, I believe, and then a couple medalist tables, Brunswicks as well, and then the one Rasson. And I was telling Neight that the Rasson was like a step and a half faster than the Brunswicks, based on it's probably less play on it. So the cloth was extra slick and quick. But table played fine. It was fast, but outside of that, the pockets weren't unbearable or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's jump, I guess, into the new rankings, I guess, since we have those up now.
Yeah.
This is obviously very early on in the season, and I guess they're not taking into account at all the International Open last year. So this is what they have so far. Obviously, there's only one major event, which was the Whirlpool Championships, or Whirlpool Championships. Yeah, the Whirlpool Championships, which FSR you see up there at the top.
Yeah.
From winning that, or from his place, Fedor Gors is at 18-7. Mario He. So that is I guess if we were to end today, those would be the three representatives for Europe. Not a great look for the U.S. so far. But we got Sky, Shane, and Billy on the board with Shane Wolford and Tyler Steyer right behind that.
Yeah.
Way too soon to really start talking about Mosconi Cup stuff. But what jumps out on you on this list here?
Two things. I think there's somebody made a comment about the 2-year rolling rankings. I think what's happening is that they're doing the 2-year rolling rankings for world rankings, at least now.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. And so, but the qualification rankings for Mosconi are within the 1 calendar year for Europeans and for Americans. So that's kind of like, I think that is where some of the clarification issues are with that. But yeah, I mean, these are, you'd probably say the guys that you would expect to be on the list for most guys. Mario's been, knocking for a little while. I think it's getting harder. I kind of want to see him make the team just because of his qualification, and then that one medical issue he had is kind of a shame, and I just feel like it's just going to get even harder, but he's improving.
Well, that he's been like one spot out every single year from guaranteed qualifying.
Yeah, so he has to just qualify outright, because I think it's harder for him to earn a wild card than other players, just because he also hasn't made a team yet. And so, it's tough. I was talking to Maritz. I'm like, it's really rough for you. You know what I mean? I feel bad for like those guys who are the European side, because it's like, man, you got to beat out all these juggernauts, And then for the U.S. side, the bar for qualification is a lot lower. You just got to kind of make a certain amount of money. But it was nice to be an event like this where the business end was, the majority Americans, and then two U.S. guys made the finals, which was great.
Nice.
So.
I think last year, what was it? Third place was it Oscar that got the last spot, and he was at like
Skyler
8,000.
I think it was Skyler that got the.
Yeah. Oscar got number 2, and then Sky got number 3, and he was at like 8,000 on the year, or something like that, or 9,000. It wasn't over 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you had 10K, you were on the team.
So I mean, at this point in time in the season, I mean, Billy's in third place and he's got 9,300. So 10,000 isn't going to do you any good this year. You're going to be looking at it, I would guess, a minimum of 20, 25.
Well, I mean, when you
qualify on the U.S. side,
winning a ranking event is significant. Even if it's one of these, regional ones, like I think Fine won the Balkan one this weekend as well on the European side. But like for the U.S., that's significant. 6 to 10K first place, which is why I think with the Sandcastle event last year, there was some heat about it, because they wanted that full payout. Based on the full field, and that had ramifications on the team. If what's his name, if that was full payout, Greg Hoga's on the team, and then Skyler misses out a spot, and you have to burn a wild card pick on Skyler, and then maybe Tyler doesn't get picked, because my assumption is that they would still have picked Earl for all the reasons, and Tyler had a strong Mosconi, and so then you have the variable of Earl and Greg, both, Greg would be a rookie on the Mosconi Cup, which I'd be happy for him if he made the team, but he'd be a rookie, and then there's a little bit of involatility there with Earl and how he responds to stuff, because it's kind of an X factor. So that might have changed the complexion a lot of what Team USA looked like, just that one event. So the fact that they full paid, and to Bo, to his credit, they didn't get a full field, and so he had to come out of pocket to make up that difference that he promised to pay out $30,000, and he did. So I think it was like a roughly $2,000 difference, and he made sure that it was covered and added. So that's appreciated by the players. It hasn't been mentioned really, but he did a stand-up thing there.
Yeah.
Ray, do you have a particular type of cue ball that you'd rather play with?
I like all the Aramith products. I think they make the best products between the Aramith block sets, the Arcos balls. By Predator, I think Aramith makes those. They all play great.
Yep.
We played with the Dynaspheres this weekend, the Palladium set. They played awesome. They played really good. They never felt light or like I hated the Cyclop balls. I didn't like those at all. I thought they were just dumb.
Oh,
They were gimmicky.
Yeah.
What, Nate? What was that?
I always thought they played really, really gimmicky. They seemed to be significantly more prone to skids and holding on to chalk onto the balls. And I mean, we all kind of know at this point in time that they like to explode. When you hit them,
Okay.
they would kind of just go eventually.
Hey, speaking of
they just weren't a very good bull.
I've been playing pool for many years, and I can honestly say it was about 20 years ago, the first time in my life I'd ever had a ball skid on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the 35, 40 years prior to that, it never, ever happened. What's the answer to that? I mean, and now every tournament I go to, I see it happening.
Yeah.
And
honestly, you've had it happen
this last weekend.
You've had it happen plenty of times.
You
just didn't know what to look for.
I practice
that maybe, but
yeah, I practice at home a bit, and I've been using the town chalk, and like almost never get skids.
Oh,
significant. Yeah.
So this is the balls picking up chalk.
Almost never get skids. And then I recently, for like a week, experimented with a more powdery based chalk, I think it's triangle chalk, similar in feel to like a Masters, but not as messy. So
still pretty messy.
Still,
I used that for like 2.5 years.
Yeah,
I love that chalk.
It feels great. It gets on the tip great, whatever. But started noticing skids pop up again, and so I'm just like, well, I'm not going to do that. So. And so, you go to a pool room or, thankfully every day the balls were polished and cleaned. I like that as well. And you'd be surprised, not a lot of tournament directors or rooms don't do that.
Okay.
They won't repolish the balls the next day because it is work, to go through and polish 15 sets of balls and have them clean and wipe down the tables and all that was done at the start of. And I think that's more the carom kind of like care. I think the carom players are very they understand.
Oh, yeah. Every game, every match.
Right. And it's
cleaned. Tables get vacuumed, balls get polished.
And Mason is used to playing at those kind of higher level competitions where all those little things matter.
Yeah.
So the conditions were taken care of and that was great. So I didn't see very many skids. I didn't have any skids in match play, which is nice. But, after 2 days if the balls are dirty, then you go late into the tournament, then, the tables play different, balls grip different, and you have to kind of adjust and become more of like a pool player. But I'd say to people who are at home conditions or want to train consistently and not have it be a factor, town was the best stuff I've seen. It doesn't get all over the balls and I've seen people even use Kamui chalk, some of the old Kamui or Roku chalks,
and that just looks like a paintball. It looks like a paintball.
It cakes all over everything, and it's really a nightmare to get off of the cloth and stuff. And even if you vacuum the table, it's like you got to do it a couple times over. So
sure. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
it sticks well.
I've never seen a skid in carom so far. 5 years in, I haven't seen a ball skid. I haven't had one skid.
Well, I have to assume because the balls are
worse in the weight of the balls too.
I was going to say it has to be because the balls are so much heavier. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, like a skid is when the ball, the cue ball, you get a little bit of a chalk from your cue ball, and it's that little bit of a chalk as it's rotating through connects perfectly with the next ball. And when you have a little piece of chalk, it's the same thing it's designed to do on your tip, right? I mean, when your tip hits the cue ball, that chalk is to create that extra friction to stop it from sliding. Well, if you have that extra little bit of chalk on your cue ball and it hits perfectly with your object ball, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do, and it's designed to stick. So it takes a little bit longer. So they'll stick together for just a little bit just a fraction of a second. They stick together instead of releasing. And then that puts you further down on the shot line because the balls are sticking together, and then they release. So all of that's going to be predicated off of whatever you're connecting with. It. When you're playing billiards, if the balls are significantly heavier, they're not significantly heavier, but they're probably like 50% heavier, something like that.
They're bigger. They're heavier.
They're big. I have a set of billiard balls that I throw on my pool table every so often just to mess around with and stuff. But
I could go weigh them right now. Let you know exactly how much.
They're chunky for sure.
Yeah, I would guess it's probably 50% heavier. 50% heavier is going to require that much more chalk to create that stickiness. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to see a skid with bowling balls because they're just too heavy.
Yeah,
right? There's just too much force going from one bowling ball to the next bowling ball, or in this case, pool balls.
I will have the exact weights.
Yeah,
then we can tell.
Perfect. So I mean, I guess where do you fall on the mic check? Said the JJ and John Schmidt had that.
I think it's a little bit of assigning that whole. I didn't listen to the interaction myself.
That wasn't the reason John lost his commentary job, though.
I think there was I think that there are certain ball hits that are more sensitive to throw, and throw can be exaggerated at speed. So you'll see the effects of throw sooner at slower speeds than you would at higher speeds. And so I think it's more of a correlative than a causational assessment there. But the ultimate breaking point for a skid is a delayed contact, a separation between 2 points of contact that isn't clean. And so usually that's because there's debris at the point of contact. And so just because there happens to be certain ball hits and stroke speeds that are conducive to exaggerating throw, and then you happen to also have a skid at that contact point and stroke speed, you can correlate those things together. But you can have a slow, super pure, clean conditions and not get a skid at those stroke speeds and contact.
Well, you can always hear a skid. I mean, it sounds different.
Yeah, the click is there for sure.
Yeah, it's just a weird kind of a thud thing. It's and that's got to be then those particles hitting each other between the two balls. Sure. The difference between clean balls, shiny balls hitting each other, and yeah, because that's very distinctive.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you barely ever see any skids on matchroom stages, and that's because their conditions are near perfect. You see your skids on, really dirty conditions with, balls that haven't been cleaned since the 1500s, and people using Kamui chalk a bunch, or, really either master or something like that. I mean, master's a pretty dirty chalk too. But I mean, for the most part, when your conditions are pristine, you're not going to see a lot of skids.
Yeah. There's no friction at those contact points. The balls are so clean.
I mean, I feel like I fall on the JJ, or not the JJ side of things, the John side of things. I just don't see.
We should petition Mythbusters to do a show.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Hey guys, can you guys do a show on skids and solve this debate? And do like ultra high speed particle assessment.
They might be interested in something like
They'd
that.
love that. That's super nerdy talk.
Because it is nerdy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more like a Schrodinger's cat type of thing. You'll never. If you're looking for a skid, you're never going to find a skid. I just feel like that.
Try to skid a ball. I dare you. You're not going to do it.
The truth is, there is no spoon. Yeah. But anyhow, I think overall though, Rob, I'm not sure if you heard, but super loved that there was a high level pool tournament going on and a carom event going on in conjunction right next to each other. And there was a lot of overlap and kind of like sharing of kind of like interplay between the two. Clayton Rocha was playing in the pool tournament and played the carom event as well. Yes. So that was awesome. I wish I would have done that if I could have.
You would have. Okay.
I just my schedule last week.
Craig Powers from Wisconsin was out there and did very well. Came in tied for third and fourth.
That's awesome. So like I love the multiple disciplinary stuff, and a lot of the pool players, when tables were being filled by tournament matches and the carom side was empty, or the matches had solved for the day, they were over playing on the three cushion
They
side.
were.
Yeah, so we had a lot of people. I mean, Oscar matched up with Suad. They played ended up being a race to 30 playing caroms.
Okay.
Oscar got that, I think, 30 to 28, and then there was some doubles carom stuff going on, and then I was practicing caroms with some friends.
Oscar, does he have a carom tables at his place?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Last time I was there, the heater was down, but I remember him posting that they got the heater element fixed because there was a conversion, wattage conversion thing from a European standard to American standard. They got that sorted out. But him and his dad had played carom for a long time.
I'm gonna say there's no room that Ernesto is gonna ever be a part of that won't have a carom table.
Sure.
I feel like.
Yeah, and Mason was interacting quite a bit with the pool players, and it was fun. It was fun to see. So that was awesome.
Yeah, he's a great promoter, Mason is, of pool in general. All Q sports.
And all the tables played well too. Like the Brunswicks played awesome the whole tournament, and the carom tables played really nice too.
Oh yeah, he's fairly anal about his pool playing conditions and the ball shape, and everything. He's up on top of that stuff. And
the Dynaspheres had we used the set that had the purple 4-ball and the orange 5-ball, which I was grateful for, because not that I don't really care about, everybody gets so caught up about the purple 5-ball incident with Joey and all that stuff. But
right.
More egregious to me than the purple 5-ball is the cotton candy blue teal
6-ball and 7-ball.
6 and 7-ball. Yeah.
Well,
So the 6-ball is gray and the 7-ball is teal.
Well, the 6-ball is like an off green. It's like a
it's gray.
Is it gray? Oh, it is. For the Dynaspheres. Yeah. I'm thinking of the Cyclops. Yep, you're right. Yeah.
That puts me on so much tilt. I was practicing with Dell. We were practicing in at Society Billiards last Monday, and I can't tell you how many times subconsciously I'm watching him shoot, or I'm shooting, and I'm playing position for the 6, or I'm playing position for the teal ball and then the 6, and I have to I did it again, and I just point it out over and over again because I'm catching myself, and I have to consciously redo it. I'm like, what the crap, man? This is awful. It doesn't make sense at all. That doesn't make sense at all. You should work towards a desaturated ball, so it should go gray, black, and then the 9 and start over. So you like the teal will be akin to a 2-ball, and then the black, the gray would be the 6 or the 7, and then the black would be the 8, and then you go back to the 9 and you start over. That could be a rotation. Whoever put that damn 7-ball as a teal ball deserves a flogging. I'm sorry, Dynasty, but you're just not doing anybody a service at all. Puts me on. They play great, but you have to unwire your brain and re-put these things. It's unnatural. It just sucks.
Yeah, it's worse for older guys. Trust me.
Boy, so I'm glad they used the Palladium set, and then it was just the old standard colors, purple 4, orange 5, and they played awesome. They played as good as Aramith balls that you're just very natural to play on. So
yeah, I love this comment here. Mastering 3 cushion helps tremendously in pool. There's no question about that.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
I mean, I've just spent 5 years playing 3 cushion for the first time in my life. I went back to pool here about 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
And it did help me. There's no question.
There's a shot that came up that I know it's common in 3 cushion, across table, where you just go long, back and forth.
Yep.
And I had a draw shot.
Yep.
I had a draw shot where I just delayed the curve with speed, and I needed to get above from the 4 to the 5, and I just whapped it was either really touchy to pinch it, do also just whapped it 100%. Played max speed with the draw and went long rail, and then back above the side and played for the 5 in the corner pocket. And I saw somebody look over what the heck, because nobody really plays that shot, but it's such a common shot in carom,
Right.
Cross table, delayed curves, withdraw or follow. And it was like, oh, this is just another cool shot that I get to do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, carom.
That's our comment here, and I played. There was a Jacoby dealer from Spain came to the Jacoby Open one year about 3 years ago, and I asked him, "Hey, you want to play a little 3 cushion on a bar table?" He goes, what are you talking about? And I says, come on, let's just try it. What do you think? He
Yeah.
goes, yeah. He says, I'm on a league.
Yeah.
And he was playing pocket pool at the time.
Sure.
But that's very common in Europe, very common in Spain, is to be.
Well, they also have the Predator connection to Danny Sanchez and the Spanish connection to Danny Sanchez, which is great. I mean, he's at the apex tier of competitive carom players. I'm not sure how much direct time they play together, but I know there is a relationship there. And so it's nice to see, Alcady having a little bit of a carom background. Even Delgado, I watched a little bit playing some carom. You can tell he was comfortable with the game and played some shots that you can tell aren't pool player shots, they're carom player shots.
Right.
You can tell when somebody, as soon as you see somebody double the rail or something, you're like, oh, okay, this guy has a little bit of like.
There you go. You double the rail for position.
Yeah.
Pocket's getting away once in a while with that stuff, but
sure. But it's nice to see, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. He played a rail first, outside English, stun across the table to go deep into the long cushion, tight into the bottom rail, and then up to a ball, kind of like a cross table max spin stun. And I was like, okay, he's got some carom information there. So,
funny.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love
it. I mean, if you look at the GOAT, Efren played exclusively caroms for like 6 years or something like that, and then went back to playing pool, and then it was over for everybody. It was just done. You're done forever.
Just that little extra.
Well, it's just a different. He's got a broader palette, so when he beats you, he suffocates you from around here. Whereas when Earl beats you, he shoves his sword in you. Really, that's what it is.
Really?
Earl's gonna skewer you, and then Efren's just gonna like swallow you gently into the night, and you go into an abyss and you disappear forever. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm dead now.
He's gonna position you to death.
Oh, forget it, you're done.
Pocket the balls to death.
And you think you have somebody beat. Like I had a.
It's ironic. It's very ironic that when you're describing this, you make it seem like Efren is giving you a hug.
He is giving you a hug.
And Earl will not give you a hug.
Isn't that? Did you see? That's 4D chess now. Do you understand how good of a commentator and public pundit I am?
I see what you did there. I caught on to that.
This might be 5D chess.
I caught on to that.
There was a position I had against De Leon in a key game where he played a safe left me up table, and I had this pretty kind of like 3 cushions behind the ball, ticky to separate the balls and go up table, but there was a back door to make the 3 in the side. If not, I was behind cover up table, and I made the ball on the side and got cover behind the blanket of balls and got position on the floor and ran out. So I could just feel like the soul crushingness of that kind of stuff. And it's just like, just completely, it just breaks people because they don't expect it, and I'm just like, this is just another shot. This is like, I'm like, well, I took my line and I'm like, well, I know this gets me just high at the corner pocket. And I know with 3 units of spin, I get past the corner to the short cushion and up to the long rail. And it puts me in this nice kind of half to quarter ball range where the cue ball's coming back up table. And I just kind of saw that from the shooting perspective. I'm like, okay, here we go. See you later. And then ginned it,
Do you get acknowledgement from your opponent for those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think like I played a match with Ignacio 2 US Opens ago, and had some shots that came up like that, and he was like, he could tell, he could appreciate it, and he wasn't at all like,
I like that. Yeah.
Some people will hold that back because they don't want to feed you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like
sure.
But when you're just enjoying quality pool and you're engaged in it, it's nice to appreciate those little things. You can say, oh, there was some knowledge in that shot, and then if you pick up something, it's like, oh, I got to write that down. You know what I mean? And like
I saw a fella this weekend make a shot that I have never seen a shot this good before. But there was a ball on the rail just past the side pocket. There was another ball just to the middle of the table side of that ball, maybe an inch away from it. That ball did not go in the corner.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he called the ball that was on the rail in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, okay, how is he going to do this?
Yeah.
He can't hit the rail first and knock that ball in. No.
Did he follow through the ball?
First ball, followed the cue ball into the cushion for the second ball and made it in the corner.
Oh, wow. I've played a shot before.
Wow, right.
it comes up rare, but it's like when the object ball's on the long rail frozen, and you play the object ball you want to make so that it has a rolling ball by the time it hits that ball, and it kind of soft banks that ball away and rolls through the contact and goes into the corner. That's like,
Okay, that's very similar.
yeah, you're in a little bit of a trap, but it, sometimes when it works, it's like, oh, that's a cool shot.
Oh yeah, no, he got out. He ended up with a cross corner bank, made it, and then he got shape on his last ball before the 8-ball was. I mean,
yeah,
it was the best finished 3 shots I'd ever seen.
That's awesome.
Cool, ever in my life.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool to watch people create and kind of come up with solutions.
Yeah.
It's very neat. But I think to the whole point of this conversation, it's about how do you build a repertoire that's broad enough to be able to see those opportunities, and then, execute under pressure and all that kind of stuff. It's like, that's what makes pool fun, right? It's like,
it was so fun. It was against our team, but I didn't care. I mean, it was really beautiful.
Yeah. Mike Check had asked about whether or not I played glasses. Somebody else at the tournament had asked me if I play with my glasses on, and I don't. I did get a pair of the Bill Curran kind of like pool glasses that everybody's used. Yeah, it covers the whole thing, but the prescription is my prescription, but the depth of field is there's too much magnification, and they're like fishbowly for me, and I can't get used to them, so I have to like dial it in with him at some point. I just haven't contacted him about it, but I'd love to do that because I don't wear glasses when I play, and it's an adjustment period, and I basically guess for a little while, and then I get dialed in, and we're fine. But over time, I'm gonna have to do something.
Okay. Yeah. No, I found with my new eyes that because I can see, and I spent 20 years guessing, and adjusting with juice on the ball and stroke and things to pocket balls, that I'm really having some trouble now because I can see and I can't shoot like that anymore because they don't go in.
Yeah.
I spend my entire career guessing.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Sometimes I guess right, and it's fun.
Good diet helps too. If you're drinking water and taking your vitamins and all that kind of stuff, exercising, it helps get the blood flow to the capillaries and not just.
I heard.
I heard
carrots are good for your eyes.
Carrots are good for your eyes. Yep.
So that's always fun.
So yeah,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Nothing. I mean, the tournament was really great success. They deployed a shot clock, the final 8, and I was just talking to Isaac Wooten from Digital Pool. He's integrating a shot clock into the Digital Pool app for tournament directors. So they want to include one in the tournament, then they can use it directly through Digital Pool. And apparently the qualification event next month in Virginia, the Bob Stocks Memorial, that 9-ball event, will be shot clock every table, the whole tournament, not just final 8. So I think he's going to try and make it so that shot clock training app or that widget is available on Digital Pool publicly, so you can practice with it. Because I think that's something that would be beneficial to players who are going to target playing in events with shot clocks and aren't used to it. So, yeah.
Neight versus Raymond, race to 9. I bet I'd get to 3.
I was going to say 3. 9-3, maybe.
Wolford didn't get to 3.
Jonas did.
Way to go.
No, I didn't get to. I didn't even get to 2 with Jonas. He ran me over. Man, he played a good set.
Soto? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your Fargo these days? About 7:30.
Soto?
No, it's 7. It's low. I think it's 7:10. But I feel like I was playing pretty sporty this week.
7:10. My Fargo right now is about a 680. So Fargo would say 9 to 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It kind of depends what we play on too, because you're predominantly a big table player, and unfortunately, we don't really have big tables in Wisconsin. So
when I went to Wisconsin last year, I ended up at some place, and they had, I think they had 1 9-foot. It's mostly all bar tables, but I hear a lot. I hear a lot of people say
it's almost exclusively
are all bar table. It's like wild to me.
Yeah, we don't have hardly any big tables at all. The Cairn Room in Beloit, which is the best.
That's right.
By far the best pool room that Wisconsin has. Well, I shouldn't say by far, because Matt Apple's really good too.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Although there's Matt Apple's, there's something about that place that frustrates me quite a bit.
I haven't been to both of them. My schedule didn't allow to go to either one. I ended up going to another room that's kind of like an older. I checked in on Facebook or something.
That's Romance.
I think you.
probably.
Yeah, I think you went to Romance. Yeah, I think you went to Romance. I remember you being.
The AC was out that night, so it felt like I was
great.
back in Florida. I was like hot, sweaty, humid. Yeah, it's like what's
This
like,
is
man.
here's a question for you, right?
Yep.
So the reason I'm a little frustrated with the Mad Apple, I just don't believe that amateur pool should be played on 4 4.25 inch pockets, and they have 7-foot diamonds with 4.25 inch pockets. What is your thoughts on that? So pro cuts 4.5. These are 4.25.
Yeah. I mean, who's their demographic that they're trying to cater to? I guess that's a thing. I mean, I think 4.25 inch pockets are the ideal pocket for rotation. They're tight
at your
enough,
level or in general? Because
just in general for rotation, competition rotation, 4.25 is like the tightest that you should ever go. I probably agree that for like mid amateur levels, 4.5 is probably the sweet spot for them, where it's not slow, just buckets, but it's still it's friendly. It's a friendlier table. 4.25 for the top guys, I think is where 9-ball tables should be to preserve what 9-ball is really kind of about. I think this whole quest to get to 4 inches on big competitive tournaments is short-sighted and is a very kind of like a European thing. People have bloviated, oh, we should have tighten up the pockets and all sort of stuff and all the new cloth. I'm like, I get it, but
have snooker pockets.
Exactly. Then you're playing snooker, which also benefits the straightest shooters anyways. So you get less upsets and you also get less play. It changes the way you play position, the way you manage the rails to pocket balls and create angles, and becomes certain shots kind of start being on the verge of playable that are standard in strategy and how you play and approach things in 9-ball. So I think 9-ball is an offensive game. And I think the best you can do is what they've done already with the 9 on the spot template break box. That's all you can do. The rest of it, it's a gunfight. Guys are out there running racks. If you're a 700 plus player in the 800 range, you're within 1 inning territory when you're 4 or 5 games out from the finish line. You're in 1 inning territory, and that you should embrace that. That's good. That means that, like, if you watch that match, what was it, Shane versus Ko Ping Chung it was at the U.S. Open or International Open, and Shane is on the hill and breaks and scratches and never gets back to the table.
I don't think Shane was at the International Open, so it must have been the U.S. Open.
It was one of the tournaments in Virginia. It was just like 2017-18.
Oh, all right. I thought you meant last year.
No. This was like a few years ago. But he plays Ko Ping Chung and is on the hill and broken scratched. And then Ko Ping Chung ran the set out, within needing 5, and he got there. Wow. So like that's 9-ball, like you should encourage that. And this quest for 4 inches, I get it. It's cool. It's a tight pocket, but you're still playing on new cloth. So that 4 is going to play suspiciously like 4 1/8 or 4.25. And, there's just a point where that, you get to this diminishing returns, really. You get C balls that hang up, you get a lot more defense, which is good. But I think you get that anyways with the 9 on the spot and the break box. And I don't think Diamond, like they want to make tables that sell. And now if you have a ton of these 4-inch pocket tables running around, you're going to have less people interested in buying those tables outside of the people that are running tournaments that are 4-inch pockets. So I don't know. It's like whatever you guys want to do, it's up to you. You guys are captains of the ship and will determine the format, I'm sure. But I don't think making things like snooker accentuates what makes 9-ball special. And
I completely agree. I also don't think that we should be applying these. Like at the end of the day, there's a reason there are 7 different tee boxes in golf, right? I mean, you should not be forcing the amateurs who are 120 golfers to be playing from the tips, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there has to be different conditions, I think, for pool and forcing. I just think 4.25 pro cuts at the amateur level is just silly.
And there's a reason why straight pull was 5-inch pockets forever, right?
Oh,
and how long was 526 the record?
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to go play a good straight pull,
Yeah.
You can't just like bludgeon your way through and run a half century. I don't care how good you are, or run like half 1,000 balls. You can't. You got to learn the game and maneuver the rack and maneuver the stack and play shots that go away as soon as you start tightening up the tables, and it's harder to run those runs. So straight pull has a standard for
there's no such thing as cheating the pocket when the pockets are 4 inches.
Yeah, you can't really do that.
There's no such. It eliminates an entire aspect of the game.
Yeah, I agree. So I think 4.25 is like the sweet spot where it's tight. You guys are still fighting for the shot. You got to be honest. Like, you got to hit the ball well. You know what I mean? It's not like, and then people complain about, oh, well, the ball hit this diamond on the long rail and still went in. But like, they always view the diamond as like a fixed point. Like, oh, it hit here, went in. But what's the relative entrance angle?
Right.
A glancing ball going down the rail, it's rubbing the whole rail when it's going in. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Now, if you're shooting it directly into the cushion and it goes in, obviously you have a gaff table, but that's not what's happening. And there's a tolerance there at the, I've heard it explained like this by Ira Lee, where if you take the point of the bottom cushion and flip it over this imaginary rail where the long rail goes through that pocket, you flip it over, right? And then you draw a line from your object ball to that mirrored point opposite that long rail. That's your tolerance from whatever reference angle to make.
That's kind of cool. Looking at it like that.
Object ball with a touch, with like a pocket speed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if you're within that tolerance, sometimes if you're higher up the rail, that tolerance will be 2.5 diamonds up. You know what I mean? But it's within the playability of the shot. So people are just complaining about something that they don't really have a deeper knowledge about. Yeah. And they're just making statements because, oh, snooker, tight pockets, whatever. It's like, okay, but
at the end,
this is the table. This is what the table is offering you. If you're not taking advantage of it, that's up to you. If you don't want to, that's fine. Play with a smaller.
Speed is hugely important when going down that rail too.
Oh, huge. Yeah, you can't just smash the ball down the rail.
You'll never.
Yeah, very important.
I don't care what table you're playing on. If you're 2 diamonds up and you smash the ball, break speed, it's not going into any table.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't even remember where this conversation started from. I guess we were talking about pool halls in Wisconsin.
For across the board for pool tournaments, what's on the horizon here now, near future?
Well, we're a little bit of a lull, right? I mean, there's not a lot going on out there right now.
Well, no, there's a Bob Stock Memorial next month, which is another ranking event in the U.S.
And where is that?
That's going to be at First Break Cafe in
Sterling. Going on in Ohio right now, right?
Yeah, there's the Midwest Open going on. I guess they have a 1 pocket and 1 ball, 1 pocket, and a 9-ball.
It's like a mini derby, right?
Yeah, Pool Action TV does a lot. Like Ray will have a lot of those kind of like events. They do like a one ball, 1 pocket. They do a Banks ring game. They do a big entry 1 pocket, and then a bar table. They're doing a bar table 9-ball in that event too. So it'll be a lot of great high level 1 pocket and bar table 9-ball going on this week, which would be dope. So if you have a Pool Action TV subscription, you should be able to watch.
I used to have one all the time, and then I just let it lapse. And it's because there was a stretch where like I always got the 6-month thing for 150 or whatever it was, but then I didn't. Like, he had like 2 events a month. And I don't want to watch reruns. So,
yeah,
I just don't feel like he there for a stretch. And I guess I haven't talked to Ray for a while, but there for a stretch, I mean, he was doing 3 events a month, 2 events a month at a minimum. And now it's like he does 2 events every 6 months.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But as far as 9-ball goes, I think there's also the Super Billiards Expo coming up. And they're doing like a multi-set short race.
Are you going to that?
No, I'm not going.
Okay, I will be there.
It's not a ranking event, right?
It was last year. I don't know if it is this year though.
It's not on the calendar for Matchroom.
So probably it's not. Yeah. I know that there was some discrepancies with it last year on
Yeah.
site. So
I think also I just got a note that maybe there's a ranking event in New York in September, October. They're going to do it Long Island at Racks, if I'm not mistaken, which might be one towards the end of the year. So something to look out for, I guess.
we're in a little bit of a lull though in the calendar, which is probably okay. There's been a lot of stuff going on, so we can get caught up with some of the stuff.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned Neight had commented here about talking about cloth and like standardizations for cloth, because people complain about new slippery cloth and what's the ideal for tournament play. And I've had an idea for a while that I think cloth manufacturers could take, where they could distress the cloth uniformly, repeatably over a certain amount of time to quote unquote break it in.
Okay.
And like imagine like a sheet of 9-foot tablecloth, right? And there's like a press that kind of just stamps on it, let's say 100 times. And that, let's say 100 times of pressing the cloth equates to a week's worth of play, Now you can treat every ream of cloth that's going to go out to a tournament. Let's say it's 10, 20 reams of cloth. You can distress it, 100 times or 200 times or whatever to get that quote unquote 2-week feel or 1-week feel. You can have classes of it, and then sell that as like, gently.
Have you guys heard of a guy named Dan Benecus?
Mm-mm.
Okay. He invented these pocket stuffers, so you can put it on a regular pocket pool table.
Yeah. I've seen those intakes. Yeah.
Playable for 3 questions. Anyhow, he is working on and has invented a cloth for any pool table that you just lay down.
Mm-hmm.
And you just push it out to the corners, and then you put these little edging strips underneath the rail all the way around to hold it down.
Mm-hmm.
So you never have to take or staple a cloth anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some little kinks in it he's working out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like shingles on your house. You just instead of pulling off the old layer, you just stack a new one on.
He has a prototype, and he showed it to me. He pulled it off. He says, "This is what happens." And he took the feather strippings off and pulled the cloth up, and let's see, rolled it back down and put it back down, and it's got a little type of a plastic material on the bottom side of it, and regular cloth on the top side. And this really looked cool. He says there's a couple things with manufacturing he's got to work out with this yet, because of some contract issues or something he has to work out. But this is the future. And the cloth is, I believe, it's not skiddy when you first lay it down. It's kind of like it's almost been broke in a little bit.
That's awesome.
So this is the future coming up with a few people out there who are inventive and with that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess with that, we all good? We all good to go?
I don't know. I mean, pool's at a great point, I think, place right now. And I think if you're an aspiring American player, you should be
plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, you should be practicing and working on doing what you need to do to go to the next level. So I just wanted to say thank you again. I posted about it, but Dominic Aragi made me a really beautiful cue, and I'm really enjoying playing with it this past tournament.
It does look really nice.
Thorpe, yeah, and it's the first tournament I play with it, and it's holding up. So
nice.
Excited about that.
While I don't want to take shine away from them, I do want to show.
You gotta go. Is that where you're squirming around, Nate?
No, I need to run an advertisement for Jacoby, and you want to talk about a beautiful cue? Check this one out.
I feel like I need to get a kimono or something to be able to like enjoy that properly.
Well, I was going to say that it's a beautiful stick, but I think the background music was a little iffy.
Shut up, Rob.
I did want to mention one of the show sponsors, Insight Performance Coaching. Tara's picked me up as one of her sponsored players for the year. So
yeah, I saw that. Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm gonna reach out to her as well and schedule some sessions now that I'm back, because that's something that I invested in last year, and I wanted to continue building on that progress. You know what I mean? Things are starting to connect.
We get to welcome young Sam on the program. Right. I heard.
Is Sam in attendance in the audience?
I think he's in school right now.
Oh, I see. Understand.
No, he's homeschooled.
Homeschool? Okay, but maybe he's studying. Whatever.
I doubt it. I've met the kid. He's not very bright. Doesn't look like he ever studies.
You're so
Please let the kid get on the show before you start.
Yeah, don't kick him. He's not even down yet.
Well, I got to get on him now before he gets in here and can defend himself.
Oh, wow.
Sam,
and you and Jim. Sam may not have a prayer.
Don't mind
him. Yeah. We'll be nice to him. He's a good kid. All right. Well, with that, let's close it up for the week. Thanks, Ray, Rob, for joining. Thanks, everybody, for
thank you very much
watching and participating in the chat room. We appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Next week on Monday, correct?
On Monday, yes. I should say that. Yeah, you're right. We are switching to Mondays in the coming future, foreseeable future. I think that's going to be a better time for the guests on the podcast here, or the hosts of the podcast. So we're going to switch to Mondays coming up. Next week. So fun stuff. All right. See y'all next Monday.